I caught my husband sharing my private photos in a work group chat. It led to a lawsuit that changed everything. Now he wants to make amends. I never thought I'd be sharing something like this on Reddit, but I feel like I'm at a crossroads and could use some outside perspective. My name is Eliza, 32F, and I've been married to Derek, 34M, for 6 years now. We met during our sophomore year of college when we were paired up for a group project in our Marketing 101 class. I remember being impressed by his creativity and work ethic right from the start. We hit it off immediately, bonding over our shared love of obscure 80s movies and our dreams of making it big in the marketing world. Our relationship progressed quickly after that. We started dating a few months later, and by the time we graduated, we were already talking about our future together. Derek proposed on our 3-year anniversary during a weekend trip to the beach where we had our first vacation as a couple. It was a perfect moment, the sun setting over the ocean, a beautiful ring, and promises of a lifetime of happiness together. We got married a year later in a small ceremony surrounded by our closest friends and family. I still remember the way Derek looked at me as I walked down the aisle, his eyes filled with love and adoration. I truly believed we were soulmates, destined for a happily ever after. The first few years of our marriage were blissful. We both landed entry-level jobs at marketing firms in the city and spent our evenings and weekends exploring our new neighborhood, trying out local restaurants, and planning for our future. We talked about buying a house, starting a family, and building our careers together. Things started to change about 3 years ago when I found out I was pregnant. It wasn't planned, but we were excited about the prospect of becoming parents. However, the pregnancy was difficult. I suffered from severe morning sickness and was put on bed rest for the last 2 months. Derek was supportive, but I could tell he was struggling with the sudden change in our lifestyle and the added responsibility looming on the horizon. Our daughter, Lily, was born after a complicated 36-hour labor. The first few months of parenthood were tough on both of us. Sleepless nights, constant worry, and the strain of balancing work and a newborn took its toll on our relationship. We argued more frequently, often over small things that wouldn't have bothered us before. It was during this challenging time that Derek got an offer from a prestigious marketing firm, Apex Solutions. It was a significant step up from his current position, with better pay and more opportunities for advancement. We saw it as a chance to get our life back on track. I encouraged him to take the job, even though it meant longer hours and more responsibilities. At first, things seemed to be improving. Derek was energized by his new role, and the extra income allowed us to hire a part-time nanny, which eased some of the pressure on both of us. But as months passed, I noticed subtle changes in Derek's behavior. He became more distant, always busy with work or hanging out with his new colleagues. Our conversations became superficial, mostly about household logistics or Lily's schedule. I tried to talk to Derek about it, but he always brushed off my concerns, saying he was just stressed with work and trying to make a good impression. I wanted to be understanding, remembering how hard we had both worked to get to this point in our careers. So I bit my tongue and tried to be the supportive wife I thought he needed. Last month, on our anniversary, I decided to surprise Derek at work with lunch. It had been ages since we'd had a meal together, just the two of us, and I thought it would be a nice gesture. I dressed up, got Lily settled with the nanny, and headed to his office with his favorite takeout. When I arrived at Apex Solutions, the receptionist gave me an odd look. She told me Derek was out of the office at a team-building event. I was disappointed but didn't think much of it at the time. I left the food with her and asked her to let Derek know I'd stop by. That night, when Derek came home, I casually mentioned my visit to his office. His reaction was unsettling. He seemed flustered and quickly changed the subject, asking about Lily's day and complaining about a difficult client. It was then that I started to suspect something was seriously wrong. Over the next few weeks, I paid closer attention to Derek's behavior. He was always on his phone, quickly hiding the screen when I walked by. He started working late more often, and when he did come home, he barely spoke to me. Our once close relationship felt like it was crumbling, and I had no idea why. Last week, everything came to a head. Derek left his laptop open when he went to take a shower, and I saw a notification pop up from a messaging app I didn't recognize. I know I shouldn't have looked, but my gut was telling me something was off. What I found left me speechless. It was a group chat with Derek's colleagues, but it wasn't about work. It was filled with inappropriate comments and photos of women, their wives, girlfriends, and even some of their female coworkers. They were rating these women, making crude jokes, and sharing personal information. I felt sick as I scrolled through the messages, my hands shaking. But the worst part? Derek wasn't just a participant. He was one of the main contributors, often initiating these discussions and sharing photos of me without my knowledge or consent. Photos from our beach vacation, family gatherings, even a picture of me right after giving birth to Lily. all up for his coworkers to judge and comment on. I confronted Derek as soon as he got out of the shower. At first, he tried to deny it, but when he realized I had seen everything, he broke down. He claimed it was just locker room talk and that he didn't mean any harm. He begged me not to leave him, saying he'd do anything to make it right. But I don't know if I can ever look at him the same way again. The trust is completely shattered. I feel violated, betrayed, and honestly, a little scared. This isn't the man I thought I married. The Derek I fell in love with would never have done something like this. I've been staying at my sister's place for the past few days, trying to figure out what to do next. Derek keeps calling and texting, alternating between apologies and accusations that I'm overreacting. His family has also been reaching out, telling me that boys will be boys and that I should forgive him for the sake of our daughter. My own family is divided on the issue. My sister is furious and thinks I should divorce Derek immediately. My parents, however, are more hesitant. They come from a generation where you stick it out no matter what, and they're worried about how a divorce would affect Lily. I'm lost and confused. Part of me wants to believe that this was just a horrible mistake, that the man I fell in love with is still in there somewhere. I think about our history together, the late-night study sessions in college, the way he held my hand through every contraction when I was giving birth, the proud look on his face when Lily took her first steps. Can I really throw all of that away? But another part of me feels like I can never trust him again. How can I ever be intimate with someone who shared such private moments with his colleagues? How can I ever feel comfortable around his coworkers knowing what they've seen and said? And what kind of example would I be setting for Lily if I stay with a man who clearly doesn't respect women? I don't know what to do next. I'm considering divorce, but the thought of breaking up our family terrifies me. Lily is only 2, and I always wanted her to grow up in a loving, 2-parent household. But is staying with Derek for her sake the right thing to do? And practically speaking, how would I manage on my own? I've been working part-time since Lily was born, and the thought of suddenly becoming a single mother is overwhelming. I could really use some advice or just words of support. Has anyone been through something similar? How did you handle it? Am I overreacting, or is this as big a deal as it feels to me? Any input would be appreciated because right now, I feel like I'm drowning in a sea of uncertainty and betrayal. Update 1, it's been about a month since my last post, and a lot has happened. First, I want to thank everyone who took the time to comment and offer support. Your words gave me the strength to take action and stand up for myself during what has been the most challenging period of my life. After spending a week at my sister's place, I decided to return home to face the situation head-on. I told Derek that if he wanted any chance of saving our marriage, he needed to come clean about everything. No more lies, no more excuses. What followed was a grueling conversation that lasted hours. Derek admitted that the group chat had been going on for over a year, started by one of the senior managers as a way to bond with the team. He said he felt pressured to participate to fit in and advance his career. While I understand workplace pressure, it doesn't excuse his actions. Derek's confession brought back memories of our college days when he was always eager to fit in with the cool crowd. I remembered how he'd sometimes go along with things that made him uncomfortable just to be accepted. It seems some habits die hard, but this was on a whole different level. The most shocking revelation came when Derek confessed that the group chat wasn't limited to just his department. There were similar chats across the company, all sanctioned by upper management as some twisted form of team building. The scope of this was far larger than I had initially thought. I asked Derek to show me all the chats he was part of, and what I saw made me realize this wasn't something I could sweep under the rug. There were hundreds of messages, photos, and even videos shared without consent. It wasn't just wives and girlfriends, female colleagues were also targets of their crude comments and ratings. With Derek's reluctant help, I started reaching out to the other women whose photos had been shared. Many were shocked and horrified, while others admitted they had suspicions but were too afraid to speak up. We formed a support group and started discussing our options. One of the women, Sarah, 29F, works in the company's HR department. I remembered meeting her at the company Christmas party last year. She seemed kind and professional, always with a warm smile. She was devastated to learn that her own photos had been shared by her colleague. She decided to take action and report the situation to the company's board of directors, bypassing the corrupt management. The response was swift. An internal investigation was launched, and several high-ranking executives were suspended pending the results. Derek and many of his colleagues were called in for questioning. The atmosphere at his workplace became tense, with people pointing fingers and trying to save themselves. Throughout all of this, Derek has been a mess. He's terrified of losing his job and facing potential legal consequences. He keeps begging for my forgiveness, promising to be a better husband and father. But every time I look at him, all I can see is the man who betrayed my trust in the worst possible way. I've been in contact with a divorce lawyer to understand my options. The thought of ending my marriage is heartbreaking, but I don't know if I can ever trust Derek again. Plus, the more I learn about the extent of this scandal, the more I realize that staying with him could potentially impact my own reputation and career. My family has been incredibly supportive. My sister, always my fiercest protector, has been helping with childcare and offering a shoulder to cry on when things get overwhelming. My parents, who initially urged me to work things out with Derek, now understand the gravity of the situation and are backing my decisions. Seeing their shift in attitude has been both validating and saddening. It's like we're all mourning the loss of the man we thought Derek was. Derek's family, on the other hand, has been less understanding. His mother called me, accusing me of trying to ruin her son's life over a few harmless jokes. I was shocked. This was the same woman who had welcomed me into her family with open arms, who had cried tears of joy when Lily was born. Now she was treating me like the enemy. Derek's sisters have been spreading rumors among our mutual friends, painting me as the villain in this story. It's hurtful, but it's also showing me who really has my back in this difficult time. As for Lily, she's too young to understand what's happening, but she senses the tension. She's been having nightmares and clinging to me more than usual. I've been doing my best to shield her from the chaos, but it's not easy. The thought of her growing up in a broken home breaks my heart, but I also don't want her to think that what her father did is acceptable behavior in a relationship. I've started seeing a therapist to help me process everything that's happened. It's been helpful to have an objective person to talk to, someone who can help me sort through my conflicting emotions and guide me as I make decisions about my future. Right now, I'm taking things one day at a time. The company investigation is ongoing, and I'm working with the other affected women to explore our legal options. I'm also focusing on my mental health and trying to create a sense of normalcy for Lily amidst all this chaos. I'm not sure what the future holds, but I know I need to stay strong for myself and for my daughter. This experience has shaken me to my core, but it's also shown me that I'm capable of standing up for myself and what I believe is right. I'll update again when there are more developments. Thank you all again for your support. It means more than you know. Update 2. It's been 3 months since my last update, and the situation has evolved in ways I never expected. The company's internal investigation concluded, and the results were explosive. It turns out the inappropriate behavior wasn't limited to a few departments, it was a company-wide issue that had been going on for years. The board of directors, facing immense pressure and potential legal ramifications, decided to clean house. Over 30 employees, including several high-ranking executives, were fired. Derek was among those who lost their jobs. The company also brought in an external HR firm to overhaul their policies and provide mandatory sensitivity training for all remaining employees. But that wasn't the end of it. Sarah, the HR employee I mentioned in my last update, along with a group of other affected women, decided to file a class action lawsuit against the company. They asked me to join, and after careful consideration and discussions with my lawyer, I agreed. The lawsuit alleges a hostile work environment, sexual harassment, and breach of privacy, among other charges. The news of the lawsuit hit the local media, and suddenly, our private struggle became very public. It was overwhelming at first, but I found strength in the solidarity with the other women involved. We've been supporting each other through this difficult time, and it's been empowering to see how our actions are sparking important conversations about workplace culture and respect. As for Derek, losing his job was a wake-up call. He's been going to individual counseling to work on his issues and has joined a men's group focused on dismantling toxic masculinity. While I appreciate his efforts to change, I've realized that our relationship is beyond repair. I've officially filed for divorce, and we're in the process of working out the details. Co-parenting with Derek has been challenging, but we're both committed to putting Lily first. We've agreed to use a co-parenting app to communicate and coordinate schedules, which has helped reduce direct conflict between us. It's strange to see Derek only during pickup and drop-off times, when just a few months ago we were sharing a life together. My career has also taken an unexpected turn. After the story broke, I was approached by a nonprofit organization that works to combat workplace harassment. They offered me a position as a speaker and advocate, sharing my story to help educate others and push for policy changes. It's been healing to turn this negative experience into something positive that could help others. Derek's family has finally stopped their campaign against me, likely realizing the severity of the situation. Some of our mutual friends have distanced themselves, uncomfortable with the public nature of our split, but my true friends have stood by me unwaveringly. Lily has been adjusting to the new normal as best as a toddler can. She still asks for Derek when he's not around, which breaks my heart every time. But I'm doing my best to maintain a stable environment for her and shower her with love and attention. As difficult as this journey has been, I'm starting to see a light at the end of the tunnel. I'm rediscovering my own strength and building a new life for myself and my daughter. It's not the life I had planned, but I'm cautiously optimistic about what the future holds. Update 3. It's been a year since this all began, and I'm writing this final update to bring closure to this chapter of my life. So much has changed, and I'm in a very different place now, both literally and figuratively. The lawsuit against Derek's former company was settled out of court. While I can't disclose the specifics due to the settlement agreement, I can say that the outcome was favorable for us. The company has since implemented stringent policies against harassment and has become something of a case study in how to transform a toxic workplace culture. My work with the nonprofit has been incredibly fulfilling. I've had the opportunity to speak at conferences and companies across the country, sharing my story and advocating for change. It's been healing to see how my experience has helped others find the courage to speak up or make changes in their own workplaces. Recently, I was invited to testify before a state legislative committee considering new workplace harassment laws. It was terrifying but empowering to use my voice in this way. Derek and I finalized our divorce 6 months ago. Despite the pain and betrayal, we've managed to establish a civil co-parenting relationship. He's continued with his counseling and has made genuine efforts to be a better father in person. While I'll never fully trust him again, I'm glad our daughter still has a positive relationship with her dad. Derek has been consistent with his visitations and seems to be really trying to be present for Lily. It's not always easy, but we're learning to navigate this new dynamic for Lily's sake. I've moved to a new city for a fresh start. It was a big decision, but it's been good for both me and Lily. She's adjusted well to her new preschool, making friends quickly in that way only young children can. I've found a supportive community here, joining a single parents group, and even taking up yoga, something I've always wanted to try but never found the time for before. I'm even cautiously dipping my toes back into the dating pool, though I'm in no rush to enter another serious relationship. It feels strange to be out there again after so many years, but it's also exciting. I'm rediscovering parts of myself that I had forgotten about during my marriage. My relationship with my family has grown stronger through this ordeal. My sister visits often, and my parents have been incredibly supportive, helping with Lily and offering emotional support when I need it. Even my relationship with Derek's family has improved slightly. His mother reached out to apologize for her initial reaction, and while things are still tense, we're trying to maintain a cordial relationship for Lily's sake. Professionally, I've continued my work with the nonprofit, but I've also started taking online classes to update my marketing skills. I'm considering eventually returning to the corporate world, armed with my experiences and a determination to contribute to more positive workplace cultures. Looking back, I'm amazed at how much I've grown through this experience. A year ago, I felt lost and betrayed, unsure of my future. Now, I feel strong, independent, and purposeful. I've learned the importance of setting boundaries, standing up for myself, and surrounding myself with people who truly support and respect me. There are still hard days, of course. Days when I miss the life I thought I had, when I worry about the impact of all this on Lily, when I feel overwhelmed by single parenthood. But these days are becoming fewer and farther between. To anyone going through a similar situation, know that there is light at the end of the tunnel. It's not easy, and there will be days when you want to give up, but you're stronger than you know. Don't be afraid to seek help, whether it's from friends, family, or professionals. Your voice matters, and your experiences are valid. Thank you all for your support throughout this journey. Your kind words and encouragement have meant more than you'll ever know. While this chapter of my life is closing, I'm excited to see what the next one brings. Life may not have turned out how I expected, but I'm learning to embrace the unexpected and find joy in the new path I'm forging for myself and Lily.